What is up, True Fitness family? Welcome to another episode of the True Fitness Podcast. I'm your host and coach, Adrian Conway. And today we've got a wonderful topic that was a question from at Avera9636. Avera, I appreciate you with this comment. To contextualize it for you a little bit before I read it, it's the CrossFit Games versus CrossFit, the methodology. Can we have both? Can we have both? But before I jump into that topic, folks, please do me a favor and like this video below. Please comment below a topic you would like to hear me explore, or comment about what I'm about to dive into after you hear some of this information, and give me your own personal opinion on this. I think it actually is a very important topic within our community. With no further pause, Avera9636 says, no secret that Greg, meaning Greg Glassman, the founder of CrossFit, was not a fan of the CrossFit Games season, meaning the sport. In this regard, Greg has also stated he respects Dave so much that he gave Dave a lot of room to pursue his interest in CrossFit sport. Adrian, of course, there are a lot of people in the community who embrace the CrossFit Games season, including me. However, I am starting to see things the way Greg saw them. It seems the sport of CrossFit has taken over the CrossFit community and methodology. Overall, this is proving detrimental to the extent Greg envisioned, if not to a greater extent. What are your thoughts on this topic currently and moving forward? Wow. What a great question, and very well said. This has been something that has been very much on my mind from the beginning of time with my exposure to CrossFit. I found CrossFit because of the CrossFit Games. This will bring a point of realization to any of you who tune into this podcast. I found CrossFit only because of the CrossFit Games. I saw that in 2010, Graham Holmberg won the CrossFit Games. He beat a man by the name of Rich Froning. You may know him. And when I saw that Graham Holmberg won the CrossFit Games, I immediately looked into his athletic background and I saw what he did. He played college football. At the time, I was finishing up my arena football career. And so it made me have interest in something that looked tremendously fun. I was always a weight room warrior. I loved doing things that garnered fitness. When I started playing arena football, I started going on long runs because I had to lose about 15 pounds from playing college running back to play arena ball wide receiver. So I even started to love hiking and running because I utilized that as a source of weight loss plus my nutrition in order to make the transition to playing arena football and doing it at a higher level than I would have at a heavier weight. All that to be considered is I fell in love with this, and I'm here on this podcast because of the CrossFit Games. So do I personally believe that the CrossFit Games and the methodology can coexist? You bet I do. You bet that I believe that they can exist and that they should. Because why would you have a methodology that is measurable, observable, and repeatable, and yet you don't have a place to highlight those that are best at those measures, at those observations, and at those repeatable workouts? Why not highlight those things? Why not highlight the potential for human capacity from the generalist perspective? We have all these specialist perspectives, right? We've got powerlifting, we've got triathletes, we've got track runners, and even when we think about track, we think about the heptathlon. They've even got a generalist in their sport, right? We've got all these different things that exist. Why not have the CrossFit Games? I say all that to explore now a bit of a sidetrack to everyone who might be agreeing with me right now, including the athletes, is that CrossFit, the methodology, is the root. CrossFit at practice is something that was taught to us by Greg Glassman. Go look up 100 words of fitness, folks. I'm not going to reference it here. I want you to go literally look it up. Search 100 words of fitness, Greg Glassman. Read those. Understand that the application of this was for someone who works a job, has a family, lives life, plays sports outside of the gym, and has about 60 minutes a day to train. Are there ways for us to train more and to specialize training and to accelerate our fitness? Yes, but that's actually not what the methodology was designed for. I say all of that to bring back the CrossFit Games now. Consider the CrossFit Games. Consider what they've turned into. What they've turned into is someone seeking a full career in CrossFit. That's not what the original intention was. I'm not even sure if people understand that people are the fastest runners in our country and in their country. They're on global television running, representing their country in the Olympics. They don't do their job full time. Some do, most do not. Most go back to being clerks at the grocery store. Most go back to teaching at the rec center. Most go back to coaching high school, whatever the sport is that they play at the Olympics. I kid you not. This is how real life works. The problem with the sport of CrossFit is that we've got an entitled generation of athletes that expect to be receiving full income, to have a full time job of doing CrossFit, and that they believe that their talents are for some reason, although almost just above average in many respects when you compare them to specialists, that they should have an audience, because maybe they have one on social media, but they should have an audience on a television screen or on a YouTube channel that garners millions in order to give them the reward of this personal pursuit. So I think there's a lot of confusion from the athletes and the demands that they want to make and the ways that they want to make this a career. Not what it was intended to do. I think there's also a realization for the athletes, and this will probably happen this year in 2025 if you're listening to this podcast, where there are many who will choose not to participate in order to draw lines, demand more, demand better, as if CrossFit should evolve to serve the competitor. I will be honest when I say there will be eyes on the CrossFit Games. There will be butts in the seats at the CrossFit Games, whether people have millions of followers or zero. Because when they have zero followers and they make it to the CrossFit Games, that tells me that they're coming from within a community. And when they come from within a community, they make it to semifinals. Guess who has the most packed audiences and the loudest cheering sections? People that come from CrossFit affiliates. When those people make it to the CrossFit Games, guess what's going down at the CrossFit Games? A party. When there's a party, guess what people do? They spend money. They support the brands that support their people. They much less support a brand that supports a stranger that they look up to. Like, yeah, they might want to buy the shorts and the shoes that someone wears, but it's not the same kind of support. I promise you, Avera, that I'm getting back to your question, but I'm building context here. Because where you see problems with the sport, it's not the sport that's the problem. It's some of our community, and the people that are most discontent are the loudest, as always in every situation. So I want to encourage everybody who's a fan of the CrossFit Games, don't listen to the noise and the excuses and the complaining, and just stay focused on the CrossFit Games. Because you see, those who are fittest will rise. And to our search, every year we reset and start at zero. So if you didn't participate in the open, I don't care what you did last year. I don't care why you're sitting out. You could be hurt. You could be sitting out. You could be, but it doesn't matter. I'm only going to worry about who's here. Block out the noise. Stay focused on what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is highlight the people who do constantly very functional movements at high intensity, the best in the world. Why would we highlight those people? Well, because ironically, it gives your everyday members something to aspire to be. It excites them leading into the months of summer where they might want to pause their membership or discontinue their membership because they're watching these athletes continue to train and to continue to be eliminated as the season progresses. And we're starting to see, wow, look at the fruits of this young man's commitment, this young woman's commitment, this old man's commitment, this old woman's commitment, right? And the masters and the age groups. We get these storylines that inspire us. You find out that, wow, this person is a full-time employee and they still work, or this person is a full-time athlete and they've somehow garnered the opportunity to have all these partnerships. Folks and athletes, listen to this. I don't want you to think that I don't support your ability to willfully pursue it as a career, but you can't have that as an expectation. The CrossFit Games was never meant to be a season. Not in its origins. And why would it evolve to that? It doesn't even make sense, I don't think, financially for the business. I'm speaking completely from my office here in the compound, like not the business aspect of CrossFit. I'm speaking from my logical brain. I don't see where it makes sense to make a season of it. I personally don't. I just want to find the fittest every year, and I want to highlight the methodology that helped build that. These people that are doing it full time, they train a little bit differently than everyone, but they're still doing the methodology, right? Rich always was a great example of this. People be like, "So what you doing, Rich? What you doing?" I'm doing CrossFit. I mean, I'm doing it several more hours than you, and I move way better than you and I'm much stronger than you and fitter than you, right? Like Rich had all these things going for him, but he never shied away from the fact that he was just doing CrossFit. He was doing these intervals. He was doing these cyclical approaches. You can't be great at the sport and not be doing the sport. So I design the sport in a different way and prepare people for it in a different way than just the way .com does. Of course, I got athletes who can train 2 to 3 hours in a day. Again, all of this is not bad. None of my athletes are full-time athletes. They work. They provide for themselves. Most of them have a family, but they love to train and have the time. I say all of this to say the balance is how we tell it, Avera. So while you might see a lot of problems with the sport, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of limitations and it brings complexity to the sport. But if I walk through the four walls of an affiliate right now, I own an affiliate, okay? And someone walks in and they're like, Adrian, man, I saw the CrossFit Games on TV, bro. It's crazy. Like, is that what you guys do here? I'd be like, man, you know what? The CrossFit Games is crazy and it's amazing. It's a really great example of what high-level elite athletes do. But it's not really what we do here. We train very differently. We train for 1 hour a day. And if you look at that class over there, there's a grandma in that class. There's, someone that's only been doing CrossFit for 2 weeks. And we've got some members that have been with us for 10 years. Does anyone over there look like what you saw on that competition floor for the CrossFit Games? They'd probably be able to tell me no. They probably would. And I would love to have that conversation with them and explain the difference. I think where we run into issues is that we don't want to have conversations with people. We don't want to have to explain the difference between the CrossFit Games and CrossFit, the methodology, and every day. Man, what a great motivation those young, talented, physical specimen of humans are for us. And they drive traffic because people are curious. They garner haters, but they garner attention. And attention is awesome. And again, attention should be rewarded. So these young athletes should be rewarded. Yeah, if they win, they should be rewarded, right? But it's not like CrossFit should be cutting them checks just to play, because next man up would show up and the butts would still get in the seats and the eyes will still be on the CrossFit Games. So the entitlement isn't fair. Not garnered either. I hope it grows. I hope the pot grows. I hope more people make more money from the sport. I hope that the coverage is on ESPN in perpetuity. I hope we get global travels of the CrossFit Games. And I hope affiliates have a headache of telling the people that walk into their gym and are intimidated by like, oh, I can't do that. I saw it on TV. Come try a class. Let me show you. That's all it takes. That is all it takes to get someone into the gym. Why don't you come? Your first class is free. Come, I will coach you. And I'll show you how different it is. And I'll show you how you can do it. And I'll show you where we'll start. Because that's not what CrossFit is necessarily, but it's a great representation of what elite humans can do when they train it headlong. It's going to be a balance, Avera, and it's going to be a hard balance. It just takes ownership, though, and conviction. For years, I've been associated with Wasatch CrossFit here in Layton, Utah. I was the head coach there for many years until I started FNX as a supplement company in 2017. And I'm really working my way back to get more involved with the community because I miss it. But when in 2017, we won the CrossFit Games, right? Everyone talks about, I was on a team in 2017 that beat the Mayhem. And it was a great time. It was amazing. But one of the coolest examples of that year for me is that I was the head coach at that gym. I coached early mornings 1 day a week, and I predominantly coached 9 and 10 a.m. And then I was at the gym running open gym from about 3 o'clock to 4:30. I coached 4:30 and 5:30. This was my schedule throughout the week. I didn't get to interact with everyone, but I interacted with most people on a weekly basis. There were people, I kid you not, that didn't know we had a team that won the CrossFit Games after we won the CrossFit Games. We had plenty of support from our community. We had plenty of love. We had fundraisers. They provided us financially with things that got us our travel there, that did so much stuff. And we had other sponsors that supported us as well. At the time I was working with at Reebok personally, they supported us a lot. I'm just telling you this. I'm bringing you this to tell you a story. Is that the CrossFit Games, once you get into the CrossFit space, don't matter. And here I am as a head coach. That was the third time that I'd won the CrossFit Games on a team, the third time in 2017. That was the fourth time that I'd been as a competitor because I went individual in 2015. I'd been to semifinals every single year as a competitor, right? And so it's like I had all this going for me, but it wasn't the identity of our gym. And we had a team that was the fittest team on earth. Our affiliate won the affiliate cup. It sat in that gym for a year and people could care less. They were there for them in their own fitness journey. Now, do some people have obstacles when they see the CrossFit Games? Yes, they do. and I'll take it all day. Give me that obstacle so that they have awareness, so that they go to CrossFit.com, and CrossFit now has tightened up their SEO. They're going to reward good gyms. You're going to have look, stuff is going in a great direction at CrossFit. And I would encourage you to kind of stick around and see who buys it and how they run the ship. Because we're all kind of holding our breath until that moment, because I don't know what to expect. But I'm optimistic, because I'm optimistic about the team that's there right now. And I really mean that everybody that's there, that I see behind the scenes when I get to go commentate, or I'm behind the scenes with working with in seminars and actually doing the work. Because believe it or not, the sport is great. And the people that you see on all these interviews are awesome. Those of us that wear red shirts and travel and teach level 1s and level 2 seminars, we are doing the foot traffic to get you people who are more committed to the methodology, to get you coaches that are going to come through the channels to keep your committed people healthy and strong and taken care of. And it's like, from all accounts, what I see there, things are going in a great direction. So I would say keep the faith. I do believe that they can coexist together and be very, very fruitful. I think that it just takes clear communication and a balance. For every one story that we tell about the beauty of what the CrossFit Games and elite level performance, we should also be telling, and I think they're doing a great job of this on social media, so keep your eyes posted, on telling about amazing coaches that serve, on telling about amazing transformations that happen, telling stories about the people who saw the CrossFit Games when they had, they were 4 beers deep in a bar and then walked in to try a workout. I think that if they do that, it's all good. Because most of the community isn't online. Most of the community isn't on YouTube. You watching my YouTube channel, you are certainly saturated in a place that is overly negative. You listen to the podcasts of probably other people who are being negative about the space. They're always loudest. They just want to gossip. They just want your views. They just want your comments. They just want, so they can pay themselves, right? To me, everybody that's service-minded in the space is in the right space. And I think that they will be here for the long haul. And I think that CrossFit's in great hands as long as it's in our hands. Doesn't matter who owns it. I'm going to get to run my CrossFit ship the way I want to, at least for right now. So that's my stand on it all. I believe that it can be a beautiful balance of things. And I believe that athletes that are going to take this the furthest as a career are going to continue to figure out ways to give back to the community through their career. The community will take care of them in the long run. I guarantee it. Nonetheless, this was a rant, another one longer than I wanted it to be. Please comment below some of your thoughts about this, because I know we're going to have some strong disagreements on this one, folks, and I'm here for it. So make sure you guys tap that like button if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're not watching on YouTube, please share our podcast with people. I'm trying to spread the message as much as I can. I'm answering questions right now, going through a series. I don't know how and in what order I will launch these, but you're getting it now, if you will. We'll continue to have different topics that explore ways to enhance your health, your fitness, your performance, your mindset, and your life, because that's what we do at True Fitness. Train to rise up. Keep rising.